such an asshole.
I am here with Craig Cameron again. And I am truly a former landlord, so I do have some expertise in this field. Uh, and I wanted to bring Craig on because you're more familiar and in tune with tenant and landlord rights and all that. That you would be able to answer this question better than I could. And also on the onset, we are not lawyers. So my number one thing would be to contact a lawyer regarding your problem who is familiar with the state and local law as it pertains to this. So are you ready to field another one, Mr. Kamen?
Yeah, you got me intrigued. A
Okay.
lawyer. Okay.
Well, I just want to protect our asses. I don't want to like, oh, these two idiots on the internet said to go next door and beat the shit out of his wife, and that'll show everyone who's boss.
It seemed like a good idea at the time.
It would solve his problem. Violence solves problems. It does. It just creates new ones. That's I want to pay for a video request on dealing with a terrible neighbor I've been dealing with for the past several years. The next door neighbor I have is a huge narcissist asshole who thinks that they can do whatever they want and treat people like shit. It's a family of 4 to 5 people that bullies. Oh, wait, did I? Okay. They are grown adults who like to harass people and stalk people 24/7. Mind you, I live in a decent neighborhood. The rest of the people are fine and never cause problems. It's the next door assholes I have to deal with, which is why I haven't decided to pack up and leave as of right now. The neighbor's wife is batshit crazy and is always watching me. I live in a house and some of the windows are aligned with my neighbor watching me, making nasty comments and even taking photos and videos of me whenever I'm outside doing housework or going out. A lot of these things are already kind of stalking and harassment behavior. The worst thing about the neighbors is they're miserable and never go out. They do the same shit every day and it's horrible. What? Okay, that's not a crime. They do the same shit every day, right, Craig?
No, it's not a crime. But
Okay.
I can understand they're annoyed.
Yeah. I mean, he's got a what I would I don't know how old this guy is, but he needs to delineate between what's a crime against you, what is a crime they've done, and what is just dislikable behavior, but it's not a crime. Like they can like fart a lot, but that's not a crime. So if they stay in, it's not bad. They're just lazy people. What advice would you give to help with this problem? One of the things you would say is to move out. However, the area that I live in isn't a good area, and the rest of the neighbors have been great, other than the Kuantahaha that lives next door. Would boxing or any other combat sports help if I ever get into a fight with the family next door? Well, yeah, it would help. Yeah, knowing how to fight, I would say get mace. I mean, if it's starting to approach this, guns, not so much. Mace, yes, at least in the United States, because it's not lethal, but it is a pretty good protector. I can say that as a security guard. But yeah, maybe you should learn to box. They are crazy, and I do have a feeling that one day something might go off every year. Since a certain year, things have gotten worse when they moved in since the disease. The family would instigate and would be blasting their fucking music at any time of the day and are horrible people altogether. I'm a young fellow. I decided if things don't get any better, I would move out of the neighborhood, but I was looking for alternative options before leaving because the neighborhood isn't a shithole. I want a video request on this issue. What would you give in the matter? And I had some follow-up questions to get more details. Got any more information on these people, like age? What do they do for work? What's the neighborhood doing? Anyone filing noise complaints? And do you own the place or are you renting? They are in their mid-40s. The husband works. I think the mother stays at the house. They have a little little shithead kid whose mother's clearly using him as a shield so that nobody will confront them or say anything to her. For the neighborhood, they don't do anything. I don't think they're bothering anyone else from what I've seen. The rest of the neighborhood is retired folks or older people that are middle class. I own the house. I've been living in the house since a long time ago. Never had a problem with any of the neighbors before. This is the first time I've dealt with them. I say, do you know if they're own the house or renting? He says he believes they are renting. All right, Mr. Kamen, what is our client to do?
Wow. Okay, so I don't know the specifics, but what I was picturing is my older brother saying, "Don't cross this line." He'll get up right to the edge and just taunt me, just being a dick, right? And that's what it sounds like their behavior is. They're not crossing that line, but they're going as far as they can to push all the buttons.
All right.
So just try to document it. You're not first that's going through my mind is if you're dealing with an asshole neighbor, there's a lot of ways for revenge. I've dealt with okay, sorry.
You
A-hole.
could of all the shows you can curse on, you could curse on this one.
Okay. So as far as like I've dealt with asshole neighbors owning rental properties, and all these thoughts cross my mind, right? We grew up with the little paper bag with the dog poop in it, and you light it
Right.
up and ring the doorbell. That's how we dealt with things when we were kids. So you can do similar things. The police, crime scene around their house when they're gone, and they come.
Wait, are we talking like 1980s kind of
Yeah. So this is the
pranks?
stuff that goes through my mind when I'm dealing with an asshole
Right.
neighbor. But the bottom line is, if you play that game, they're way better at it than you.
Mm.
Once you go down that road and you start fighting their level of fight, you're going to lose because they perfected being an asshole, and you're not going to be able to play that game. So then you got to kind of take that high road and try to get things documented. If you can look up who the owner is, you might be able to reach out to the landlord and just
Okay.
make sure they're not the owner. You can probably try to talk to the city, the police, off the record kind of thing, and just say, hey, can you keep an eye on this? These are the issues I'm having. You don't want to be the narc because you're going to escalate things. You can be the narc, but they're probably going to figure out who did it. And beyond that's about all you can do. Sometimes you can turn the cards if they're like drunks, and they like to drink, and that's their what they want to do. You can go whatever, buy them a drink or something, and then you can usually diffuse those kind of assholes that way, because then they're like, oh, he's one of the partiers, he's all right. So you can deal with the drunks that way. If they're just classic assholes, you're not going to change them. You're not going to win their game. So you're going to have to figure a different way. Try not to engage with them, or you're going to play their asshole game head on, and you'll lose.
So it's just like kind of wait them out until they have to
That's
move
about all you
somewhere
can
else.
do. You can use the city zoning ordinance with the sound, if they're playing loud music past a certain time. The dog barking, that used to be one in our city, but the city can't do anything about it now because it's subjective. They have to record so much dog barking, so sound gets to be a tough one to create an issue with. But if it's a landlord and they start getting complaints from the city, so I had one. So I had tenants in there, and that's the one that they moved like 8 to 10 people in.
Mm-hmm.
And I started getting complaints from the city. So the city went out and walked the property, and they red flagged me on all the stuff. They couldn't flag me on what the actual complaint was, but I got them to be able to walk the property and find old tires. When I bought the property, the farmer left a bunch of old tires.
Mm-hmm.
So then I had to clean all that kind of stuff up. But it did alert me to a bigger problem going on in the house.
Okay.
So that's one way you can do it, is talk to the city, see if you can, report some of that. I don't have any specifics on what they violated, because right now it seems like they push that line just to get them aggravated, but don't actually cross the line.
Yeah, and I'm wondering why they singled him out and not the other neighbors.
Mm-hmm.
And I happen to believe the guy. Like, there's just weird people where they'll be a prick to you, and you've not said anything to them.
Yep.
You're like, why me? What did I do?
Yeah. Might not have liked your shirt one day and then decided to pick on you, or feels like he can pick on you, that he can get away with it,
Well, there anything else because I have a list, and it's somewhat lengthy, but it is all under that domain of kind of wait them out and, abide by the law kind of deal. But anything else you've done in the past?
I've been on the other side, right? When back in my drinking days, I was the asshole, and I didn't know I was, right? I bought that house, and I had friends. We were in our early 20s, just turned legal age, go work on the house, gutted it, and drank all night. Probably loud. Yeah, definitely loud music. So what the neighbors did is, they would all mow their lawn at like 8 in the morning, 7:30 in the morning. And I think they cut the exhaust, so there's like, loud pipes save lives kind of thing. So that was kind of their way to get back at me. So little things like that.
Okay. Well, I got a list. You want to tell me yay or nay on these?
Sure.
Okay, so it's a family of 4 to 5. The husband's 40, and then he's got a wife and some kids. I would start with the smallest one and move your way up. So first, find the smallest kid and beat the crap out of him. All right. That'll establish dominance and that you're serious. Okay. Then if they keep giving you shit, you go to the next biggest kid, and then you inevitably move up to the wife. It's like a video game. You're moving up to the main boss. And the whole goal is to like have the easy fights to hopefully scare off the boss. Now there might be some legal consequences due to this, assault, or you be in jail, but it will solve the problem really quick. But aside from that, I say the first thing I would do is talk to a lawyer that specializes in this in your area, because as you know, Craig, rental law and real estate law is very localized.
Well, this
Based on
isn't
state.
his tenant. This is a neighbor's tenant, right?
Right, but he would still like I would still talk to a lawyer in that
Yeah.
area, so because that what are the noise ordinances in that town? It's probably different than the Twin Cities, I'd imagine.
Yeah. Yeah. Or you could talk to the city on the noise ordinances. But you bring up a good point. So you start with the littlest, and maybe you
Yeah.
don't beat the crap out of them, right?
Okay.
Maybe you give them like these giant candy bars at Halloween, and you treat that kid special. And then that kid is going to be a little nicer to you. And
Right.
then the next kid. And then pretty soon you might be able to diffuse it that way. You catch more flies with honey kind of theory
Yeah. I mean, it's
rather
worth
than
a couple bucks
escalating.
to try it, I
Mhm.
guess. Um, I don't know. I've never had that succeed being nice to people in anything in my life. I've
Yeah,
only
growing
made
up, we had mini bikes, right? Back in the
yeah.
70s, so we had these, ripping down the neighborhood and stuff and go-karts. And we had these neighbors across the street, and they were just super uptight on everything. And they'd always call the cops on me, right?
All right.
And we would, all take off on our mini bikes. Well, all the dirt trails led right up to my garage. So, yeah,
Mhm.
cops come up. But anyhow, the other neighbors treated us different. They gave us Halloween candy. They were nice to us, and all the kids just went out of their way to treat that house nicer.
What
The other house
this
got trashed every year in Halloween.
what here, tell me if this is an idea. Like if the kids don't have bikes, what if you just went to like Goodwill and bought some crap bikes
Mhm.
and like fixed them up so that they're rideable and say, "Hey, you got kids, I got these bikes. Do your kids want these bikes?" Because otherwise I'm
Absolutely.
gonna throw I think that'd be a good so what does a used bike cost at Goodwill? Like probably picks them up for 40,
10,
30
20
bucks.
bucks, maybe
Yeah.
50. Yeah.
Yeah.
I've got a friend that's got a cabin up northern Minnesota, and right on near the reservation. So there's a lot of break-ins.
Mm.
So then he started fishing on the bridge with all the local kids, and you'd come in and you'd hand all the kids new fishing poles every spring,
Yeah.
and suddenly he's got no issues.
Hmm. Interesting. I would
Yeah.
also imagine like if he went to a used video game place and just bought a cheap old console and some crap game, like an old Xbox. Say,
Hmm.
hey, I'm getting rid of this Xbox. Do your kids want it? And
Yeah.
I think that'd be another way. I like your way of vectoring through the kids
Hmm.
and kind of seeing if it does that. And that may be a real good idea. Um,
Yeah. Just be careful not to look creepy giving the kids gifts.
That's why I talked to the dad, like, you're like,
Yeah.
hey, I'm cleaning out my garage. I mean, the clean out garage. I'm cleaning out my garage or my basement. Do your kids want any of this stuff? Because otherwise, I'm gonna, it's going to Goodwill. And I
Hmm.
think that'd be worth a shot and see what happens. But
Yeah.
I'm imagining it sounds like the wife hates him.
If she's not working, she may just sit there and obsess. Like some
Mhm.
people will obsess and they'll start imagining things that you did to them that you never even did. Right. They're crazy, you know?
Stay alcoholic moms who have nothing else going on in life, who don't work,
Yeah.
obsess and put really? This is
Yeah. And
crazy.
if they're taking pictures of you in your house through the windows, keep the window shades closed.
Yeah. No, that'd be it. All right. So I got like talk to the lawyer, see a lawyer may have some recommendations. Talk to the city, see if they have any recommendations. Generally wait it out. Because if they're renting, I mean, and then I should have asked them like, what kind of state of repair is the house in? Do they look like the type that stay anywhere for a while? Looks like they've only been there a couple years. I'd imagine, soon the guy's going to get laid off and have to go find work elsewhere, probably.
Mm-hmm.
Um,
Sometimes there's multi-generational. So the kids inherit the house is dilapidated, and they're going to stay there forever because none of them are going to have the gumption to get up, fix up the house, and go move.
So that might be something for him to, if they're he's got to find out, are they renting or do they own? Because if they own, yeah, maybe it is time to go sell that house and get out of there. Because if the kid, I mean, how well are the kids raised? Are they sitting on their fat asses playing video games too? You're right. It may be that situation.
Yeah, and it's not a material fact to be an asshole, right? You don't have to disclose that when you sell.
Right. I would say if the sugar and spice doesn't work out, then you go on to defense. I would start getting like secure your house, like get cameras, get security cameras, ring bells, document things. I'd say even maybe a body cam to make your life a lot easier. I had to deal with this back in college in my younger days because the preppy little assholes out in fucking Edina and Wayzata all had mommy and daddy paying for college. Now, Craig, you didn't go to college because you were smart. What do you think the preppy assholes from suburbanite Twin Cities did when it was like late at night and all the security guards and regular people had to work for a living? What do you think they did late at night?
Went out and partied.
They went out and partied and made noise.
Yep.
And so I wish I learned about earphones that you can, or earplugs that you can get. I would soundproof. See all that stuff Craig has on his wall? I'd get soundproofing as well, just to if it's noise, just to make your life a little bit easier. We talked about security cameras. I think that's all I got in terms of playing defense and record them. And if they start doing something like, talk to a police, go to the police, say, I got a problem neighbor. What are the lines that are crossed where you start caring?
Yeah. Or how should I handle this? What's the most appropriate way to handle this? And just have a one-on-one conversation with the police, and that they'll talk to you rationally.
Right.
But if you're getting into the point where you want body cam on you, you're probably in a dangerous environment and you should probably think about getting out.
Yeah, well, and he's been there a while, and I'd like him to kind of take a little bit of a stand. That's why I'm saying, like, Mace, he might have to get a gun, depending on the laws, like if they're in his house.
Oh, God, yeah, that's breaking and entering.
Right. But I'm just, it doesn't seem that bad yet, but it's not good.
Yeah.
And so, you pull out Mace because someone's harassing you on your property. All of a sudden, they go home and they got a gun, but you don't got a gun. So, you might want to consider something like that.
You raise a good point because bullies will try to pick on the ones that look weak. And if he takes a stand a little bit, they may back down.
Right. Which is why you start beating the shit out of the youngest kid. That's the easiest at first stand you could do. By the way, I hate to say this. Don't beat the shit out of the kid. That's a joke. Okay. You beat the shit out of the wife. That's
you got to have that legal disclaimer scroll across the bottom.
I know. It's just
not recommended to beat the crap out of.
You told me to beat the shit out of his 4-year-old kid. And I don't think my client's that dumb. Yeah, I would. And then the other thing, so we got talk to Laura, find out what your options, talk to the police. Defense, so you get cameras, body cams, soundproofing, headphones or earplugs. What I would then do is in situations like this, I would Google stalk the hell out of them. The more information you have on somebody or some situation, the more options become available. Like if you have their names, go do criminal record searches. You'll find out about their personalities. Set up a fake profile and friend them on Facebook. Find out everything you possibly can about these people, particularly the the husband and the wife. The kids maybe not so much. Plus, it would look creepy if you did. But I would find
they're
out.
They're not going to be public record till they're 18. So
right. I mean, social media. Like maybe these kids got a social media. I would just stay away from that so it doesn't look like you're like a Peter file. Remember that?
Peter, is Peter File?
Peter Fire. I'm disabled. I would definitely find out about the parents, their family, what does the husband do, degree. And I can't say what you're looking for, but you're just trying to get more information about these people to find a weak spot. So you find out the the husband, what they have. If you go online, you might find that, oh yeah, there's several financial fraud cases against them, like they got financial troubles. There's a criminal record, and the guy works at some job. Find out about the job. Find
He
about the
may be on
employer.
probation, and then it's real easy to violate that probation.
Right. So there might, you'll find a soft spot where you can get them. And then you just like walk into the office, talk to the boss, say, here's what's happening. Your employee is da 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 da. And then you're removing them from the family and the wife. And then there's his supervisor, and there's you to say, yeah, I heard you're doing this. This isn't acceptable. I mean, that might be pushing harassment or whatever, but
Mhm.
there's an end. There's something where it's like, and if you don't knock it off harassing this man, your job's going to be a threat. So there's, and you got to single them out. You don't take on the whole family. You don't walk over there by yourself. Wait
Mhm.
till you find the old man at the bar. And, I think it's perfectly honest. Just go have like, did I do something to offend your family? Like you could say, yeah, well, you're going to knock that fucking shit off. That'd be one of the last ones to do, but do the defense, talk to people, get as much information as you can on them. Maybe there's an option there where like, oh, look, there's a little, I could twist his thumbs this way. But the last thing you want to do is start going on the offensive. But I think somewhere in his tool belt, there should be the tool where he finds the old man somewhere, and man on man, you say, you got a problem with me? Or you guys just like trailer trash? Like what's your deal? Like, can you keep it down? Or is your wife, I mean, really, do you got troubles with your marriage? What's going on? I think that would actually be fair towards the end.
Yeah, careful how you phrase that. If you call them trailer trash, that's going to hit too close to home, and then you really escalate things.
Well, okay.
Sometimes the truth hurts, but maybe you don't have to say the truth. Just say, hey, how did we get off on the wrong foot? Did I offend you somehow?
Mhm.
And just leave it at that. And just don't ask why they're such assholes.
And then when he says, I don't know, I say, well, turn the music down and punch him in the face and say, are you going to get more of that?
Kick him in the shins.
Kick him in the shins. So, cool. All right. Well, I wish I could have. It's kind of one of those problems that doesn't really have a great solution, because unfortunately people have rights and they have a right to be a dick.
This is like 101 that you dealt with in growing up, right? There's always assholes. No
Mm.
matter where you are in life, you can move into the richest neighborhood and you're going to find an asshole.
Karens, right.
Yep. So it's just like how you dealt with it in school. You just try to seek out the good ones and try to not deal with the assholes, because they'll suck the absolute energy and life out of you.
Yeah. And he may have to think it may be a blessing in disguise, where if they're starting to let people like that into the neighborhood, maybe you got to sell your house. Because if they're, I mean, what's the state of the house next door to you? Does it look good? And Craig brings up a great point. If they're going to be there for a while because they own it, shit, maybe now's the time to sell while housing prices are high, and you go find another place and move on. And all of a sudden you come back 10 years later and it's a fucking shithole neighborhood, and you were never going to be able to get out of that house, or you were never going to be able to get as much money as you did. So I unfortunately, I'd like to think there's a place where you could stay forever and the community's great. But I don't know. I've always been accustomed to like, nope, you got to move on because most everyone's an asshole.
And I would be surprised if other neighbors are not having issues. So you may want to just kind of talk to some of the that said they're in their 70s. Just go talk to them and just say, hey, have you been having any issues?
Might be a good idea.
Because they may have the same kind of issues and just aren't saying anything.
It's true. Yeah. Cool. All right. That's it. We have no super chats.
All right.
If people have any questions about, like, do you think young people, millennials and younger, are interested in housing, whether they buy a house or rent a place? Do you think that's kind of important to them in life?
I think so. I think there's two things going on. One, it is hard. Two is I think that they thought it would be easy and they probably gave up sooner, Because even though it was easier when you and I got into the market, it was still hard.
Yeah. But yeah, my overall question is lodging important to young people?
I would think so, but maybe not as important as it was to our generation.
Oh,
They seem to be more interested in gaming.
okay. Do people want to be homeless?
No.
No.
But shit, there's a lot of homeless people. So
I
come
know,
on, maybe
I
that's
know.
true.
Yeah, I know, but generally young people don't want to be homeless, so they are very interested in lodging because it's the biggest expense on their budget. Craig, is there someone who's an expert in housing and lodging, whether it's renting or buying, that they could go to? Man, you follow worse
Just
than
give
fat
me a
chicks in
clue.
dance class. Is there a person
Yes,
you
I will
know?
talk about real estate on my page.
There
If you
is
want to buy or sell
expert.
or invest.
Oh, okay. And
But if
where
you
do
want to
people
rent, or well, actually, if you want to rent, I can talk about that too. I manage
Well, yeah.
rentals.
I mean, my whole point is, I mean, we're old. You got what, 30 years in real estate?
Yeah, 30 years in real estate. Yep.
On all
Construction, real
levels,
estate,
whether you're renting, building, buying, flipping,
investing, flipping.
repairing.
Yep. Name it all.
Yeah. So Craig is an excellent resource for any kind of real estate questions you have. Where can people find you?
I thought you contacted me because you wanted to talk about assholes. And I was
No.
the first that came to your mind.
No, I need, because this is
No,
I brought you
serious
in
one.
because you're better at it
Yep.
than me. You have more experience than I do.
No, there are some legal aspects to dealing with the neighbor, just because of certain laws and stuff. So you do have to tread a little careful, and you don't want to escalate it to the point you end up with some sort of violent situation on your hand. That's the last thing you need.
Right.
You don't need the drama to suck all that life and energy out of you.
So if people want to learn about real estate, where should they go?
Craig Cameron on YouTube.
Craig Cameron on YouTube. You also have a website, yes?
CraigCameron.com.
CraigCameron.com.
this
And you have an email there. If people have questions, they can email you.
Yep. YouTube
Okay.
at CraigCameron.com.
Cool. Outstanding. All right. Well, there you go. Thank you for coming on the show, Craig. And thank you for everyone tuning in. We'll see you guys later. Toodles.